You know that feeling you get when you need to have a tough conversation with a parent, deliver critical feedback to a staff member, or unite a divided team? That knot in your stomach that says, I'm a great educator, but am I communicating this the right way? I've been there. Year after year, I'd write the same goal in different words. Connection, crucial conversations, conflict resolution, how to deal with difficult people. I'm Crystal Atkinson, and after more than 20 years teaching and leading in public education, I've cracked the code on the communication skills that matter most, and I'm sharing them all with you. Whether you're dealing with resistant staff, anxious parents, or complex community dynamics, this podcast will give you the strategies and confidence to handle it all. Together, we'll explore how to connect with people who challenge you most, inspire your team to do their best work, and navigate conflict without losing sleep. Because here's what I've learned. Leadership isn't just about vision and strategy. It's about the conversations that happen every single day. And those conversations, they can be taught, practiced, and mastered. Welcome to Vibrant Leadership for Educational Leaders. Let's transform the way you communicate. Welcome back and Happy New Year, my vibrant friend. I am so grateful that you chose to show up today to be here to strengthen your capacity as a leader and really create a vibrant place for your staff, your students, and their parents to come and not only just go through the motions, but we want to create spaces where students will thrive and our educators, our support staff, want to be a part of something. Whenever we want to be a part of something, that's because there is a vision that is bigger than ourselves. There's a vision that is so clear. We know exactly what it is we are striving towards. Now, I'm releasing this at the beginning of January. So for some of you, this may be a semester break. Some of you might be a few weeks off from semester break. Or if you're in elementary, you may not get a semester break. This is just a continuation of where you're going. We here in Alberta had a really unique start to the year. We had a few weeks off in October where as teachers we were on strike. And so that really shifted the dynamic, the atmosphere, the overall mood, if you will, the temperature of our buildings. And so a lot of administrators are saying, this really feels like, you know what, we're going to wipe a clean slate here. We're going to embrace this new year and really show up with a renewed energy where we can do the work that we signed up for, the work that we love, why we do what we do. And so I have a question for you, my friend. Lean in, ask yourself, when you look back at your schooling, when you were an elementary student, compared to when you were a teenager, did you like school? If so, why? And if not, why not? You know that middle-aged man who talks about how much he hated school. He can tell you with clarity which teacher made him feel less than in vivid detail. That teacher changed his life forever. He would feel forever a sense of inadequacy and hurt because that teacher took away his spark. And often that man grew up to have his own children and in all likelihood passed a bit of that distaste for education to his children. Let's switch to that other middle-aged person who recalls the teacher who sat by their desk, reteaching an entire unit because they failed the exam. But their teacher is adamant that she could learn this and it's all going to be okay. That woman went on to get a university degree, even a master's, after at one point being enrolled in the easiest, most modified courses offered in their middle school. That teacher changed her life forever. You see, this profession changes lives. Full stop. Our students and our staff deserve to be supported by vibrant leaders, leaders who pulsate with life. And if you aren't a vibrant leader, if you don't pulsate with life, and you're not interested in pulsating with life, I really want to encourage you to reconsider your role in this profession, because our staff also come into our buildings with their own lived experiences, their own desires, their own wishes, their own dreams. They come in after having a tough night with their kids or their life partners. They're navigating, taking care of elderly parents. They have friends and family whom they're worried about. And when they enter into that building, if you are not that person to give them a safe place to grow and co-regulate and create a vibrant workspace, it's going to be really hard to get them to work towards goals, mission, vision, values in your building. They need you to pulsate with life. And that doesn't mean that you're excited and you're bouncing off the walls. What it does mean is that you follow this vibrant leader. So what exactly is a vibrant leader? I am so glad you asked, because that is going to be the foundation of the next 7 episodes as we unpack the 7 qualities of a vibrant leader. So today we're going to look at the V. V is vision. And I'm going to start with a coaching session that I was doing with a client this fall who is a teacher in an elementary school. And so these are beyond just leading from the front. Whether you lead from the front in an administrative role, whether you lead from the middle as a student support, instructional coach, something else role, or you are leading from your classroom, these qualities are for you. So V is for vision. I'm going to go through them right now so that you know what's coming. Next week, we're going to look at insights. That's the I. B is all about balance. R is resilience. A is authenticity. N is nurturing. And then finally, transformation. Because you do not get transformation if you don't start with these other parts. So vision, creating and communicating, right? That's what we started with before Christmas break. Creating and communicating a vision that is anchored in improving the lives of your students. This will inspire your staff to go all in. Your vision anchors everything you do, my friend. Everything you do. When you have a clear vision, budget decisions become simpler because it either fits with your vision or it doesn't. Professional learning has a whole new level of clarity because you know what it is you are focused on as a staff. You are going all in whatever area is part of your vision. Your conversations are anchored in your vision. Do you start to see how this comes together? Your supervision and evaluation, when you go through the halls, when you start to do your back to school walkthroughs and feedback forms with your staff, all of that is going to be anchored in your vision. It serves as a magnet to your entire school community. When your entire school community knows what it is you are working towards, they lean in, they show up. They want to help you. They understand why attendance is important. They understand why we need to show up in certain ways for certain courses because that vision is clear. The year was 2010. You may remember this. Simon Sinek stepped onto the TED Talk stage in Washington, and he said the famous words, "People don't buy what you do. They buy what you believe." He uncovered and passionately described why must be our leading target. That why is the leader's responsibility. And so when I work with leaders, the first thing I ask them is, what is your vision? What do you want for your school community? And it needs to be clear. It needs to be short. And I need to be able to repeat that anywhere I go. So consider some of the leaders you worked with. Did you know what their non-negotiables were? Did you know without a shadow of a doubt, even if you couldn't recite it word for word, what the vision was? I can tell you I worked with this one principal off and on for many years, and he consistently would be moved to tears or anger or any sort of like big emotion whenever it had to do with connecting kids. He believed so passionately that as educators, we change lives. And he would share, he knows that we change lives because it was a teacher and teachers who changed his life. And he would emphasize each and every staff meeting, who are you connected with? Does this help kids? Does this put kids first? We knew if we went to him with something and we started with, this is what is best for kids, he would help us make this thing happen. He never micromanaged. He always supported the what and the how because we were supporting his vision of students first and connection first. I had a former superintendent who stood in front of the entire staff at a welcome back PD session. Our division meets every August before students are back. And this superintendent stood in front of everybody and said their vision was that 100% of the students in our division would graduate from high school. 100%. And you could just imagine the looks on people's faces as you looked around the auditorium. There were eye rolls, there were murmurs, there were yeah rights. She then went on, though, to explain why. And as part of this, she said, I cannot sleep at night with any number other than 100. Because what that does is it allows us to make excuses and disengage from students whom we may have already given up on somewhere along the way. And she said, I don't want that to be my child. I don't want that to be your child. So whose child are we giving up on? It was really inspiring and really unsettling because she gave us a big challenge. Now, did we reach that as a division? Nope. But when she walked through the building and she had conversations around what are we doing for every kid? What are we doing for the kids who we haven't reached? We knew with certainty, with clarity, what her vision was. So consider, have you painted that picture for your staff? Have you painted that picture for your students? Maybe you are not in education and you are a parent. Have you created that vision for your family? What is it that your community is aspiring to? The leader's responsibility is to create that vision. Why are we here? Starting with the what or the how, that's uninspiring and it's not going to draw people in. If you're going to start with a bunch of data booklets about where your students are at and the most recent numeracy or literacy assessment, they've tuned out. They already know. They already know those numbers. They don't even need to see the people because the names just change every year. So we don't start there. Successful leaders create and communicate a compelling vision that inspires and guides their team. They see possibilities where others see obstacles. So, are you looking for possibilities? Do you see them? My husband likes all sort of extreme individual sports. And one of the sports that he used to do a lot of was downhill mountain biking. And he had a t-shirt on the back of it. It was this picture of this mountain bike going over the edge of a cliff. And at the top, it had the word ingenuity across his shoulders. And then down the side, it said, the ability to see a path where others see a sudden drop off. I was like, oh my goodness, that was so my husband. He is crazy. But then I thought, you know what? The best teachers that I've ever worked with, the best administrators I've ever worked with, that ingenuity, that's them. They have the ability to see a path where others see a sudden drop off. And so, do you see that clear path? Does it align with what you want? What is your compelling vision? Once you have that vision as the leader, the how it's going to be done, what we need to do, what information that do we need, all of that can be driven by your staff. But they need to know what they're working towards. If you could impact every student in your school to master one skill, what would it be? Consider that. What's one thing? If you were like, you know what? By the end of our school year this year, every single student will be able to do what? Fill in the blank. How would it change that child's life? How would that skill impact them? The leader who knows exactly what legacy they want to make for their students, they have the potential to change lives. Consider those first two examples that I started with. You have the ability to change lives. Every spring, every fall, administrators start to work on their annual education plan for the upcoming school year. The name of it may change from region to region, but we all have a similar process. I've yet to come across a division that doesn't do something like this. And leaders are asked or tasked, depending how you look at it, to create a SMART goal around a key area. Usually it's going to have something to do with literacy or numeracy. Often they will include something like your culture of your building, or for older grades, there may even be a careers goal, something to this effect. Does this sound familiar? I'd love to know. Message me, tell me what your goals are for your school. Perhaps your SMART goal may even look something like, we will increase students' literacy rates by 5% this spring. Now I want you to ask your teachers. Teacher A, does this goal excite you? Does this goal excite you? Because let me tell you, I know that these are achievable, and that's why we use these numbers. But if it doesn't excite people, they're going to forget about it, and they're going to say, you know what? I teach literacy. That's what I do. I don't really pay attention to the goals. It doesn't change my practice. It doesn't move me forward. It doesn't encourage me to take a risk, to do something different. It doesn't challenge me. I don't know. I've forgotten about it. It's January now. I know the principal told me what the goal was in September or August even. I'm not sure what it is. It hasn't excited me. A vision that can't be repeated by everyone on staff, it's nothing more than a compliance statement. And this is where I'm encouraging you. You have a fresh start or continuation, depending on your situation, to really go back to your vision. Anchor every conversation, every walkthrough that you have into these goals. When you reach out to your staff, when you have any sort of announcement, hey, we're looking for one more student who's able to do this, send that name to the office so we can celebrate them. Anchor your work in your vision, something that excites them. When you're crafting your vision, you need these three elements. You need to know who this vision is going to impact. You need to know why it's important, which means it needs to have an emotional connection. People don't generally purchase things out of intellect. They make purchases out of emotion. And that's the same in schools when we're creating these goals. Who am I impacting? Why is this important? make it emotional. You need to feel something. You need to help others feel something. And that needs to be anchored in urgency. Why does this matter right now? No matter what else is happening in our building, we are committed to this thing. Those three components need to be a part of your vision that you craft. If you don't know who is impacted, why it matters to focus on this, why right now it matters, it's not powerful enough to stick throughout the rest of this year. And you still have 5 or 6 months depending on when your school ends. It's going to be put aside when someone else's emergency arises, right? Oh, we've got swimming lessons. Oh, we have this other, oh, this data was just released. We need to do this other thing. Friend, the other piece of this is time. So many people say we don't have enough time to do all the things. But my question is, what do we need to stop doing so that we can do all the things that matter most? What do we know what matters most so that we can achieve that goal? We need to stop doing the things that are no longer serving us. That clarity with our staff, that permission to break free from old patterns is going to allow your staff to try something new. So again, that vision, that who, that why, that is set by the leader. Your leader needs to paint a picture so powerfully that it invites all of the staff. I would even say the parents, to see themselves as a crucial component to making this successful, to make this vision come to life. And together, those staff members, parents, students, however you want to navigate this, they're going to create their missions and values and strategies. Those are driven by the staff to bring the vision of the leader to life. The importance of a strong vision and why it isn't a team effort, but the mission and values are developed collectively. Okay, so when you go back to your staff, we're not starting with the vision. You're giving them the vision. You're reminding them of the vision. And for some of you, it may feel like a beginning of a school year because you've had so many interruptions this fall. And for others of you, you're partway through and you really want to anchor the last half of this year in the best possible practice to move our students forward. So last fall, I was working with a teacher. This is what I mean. Like, leadership is not about just the administrator. Everybody in that building has the opportunity to hold a leadership capacity. So this teacher had me come into their classroom and watch them teach, and they had some goals they were working on. And we talked about those goals, but then I paused and I just inquired, what is your vision for the student whom your assistant is clearly put into the classroom to work with? What is your vision for this student? And she started to talk about how partway through elementary, she wanted to create a space where this student was included in the classroom, included in regular instruction, as much as possible, as much as this student could navigate. And she went on to say, ideally, I would love to see this student foster independence. She said, right now the student works almost entirely with an EA. And she knew that in the years to come, the possibility of working that exclusively one-to-one with an EA would be less and less. And so she said, I'd really love to see this student work independently. And I said, why? Why is that important? And she paused and said, well, every now and then he'll go up to the other students And he's really excited to tell them something or share something or be a part of their group, even though his cognitive level is significantly lower. He just really is excited to be with them. And as he gets older, he's going to be a part of their community. So will he be in advanced courses by the time he hits high school? No, absolutely not. But she said, I want him to be able to go into a cafeteria and sit with some other kids and be able to talk about a game they're playing or a sport they're watching or whatever. She talked about how including him in the regular classroom was going to improve his self-esteem. And in doing so, in making him feel like he was a part of that community, he would foster independence. He would develop that sense of personal pride and capacity. And so she just had this vision of where she wanted to see this student go. And I clearly saw none of that happening in the classroom, because every time this child so much as made a peep, the EA was right there to shush him, move him away, and even remove him from the classroom. And so I said, have you shared this with your assistant? Have you told her about your vision and your desire? And she's like, truthfully, no, I'm actually really nervous to do so. It's a really great EA. I have huge respect for this person, and I'm new in this building. And so I just kind of thought I'd leave it because I just wasn't sure how to approach it. So together we talked about the power of creating a vision for that EA so that that assistant understood with clarity her role to help empower this student to become an independent learner. And by the time we were done, that teacher was just blown away. She said, I cannot wait to get back and share my vision of success for this student, because this is going to change his life. And my friend, that is what a vibrant leader does. They change lives. So what is your big goal? What would success look like? And have you shared that with your staff? The mission is what we agree to set out. We're going to achieve this together. The values is how we're going to show up as human beings, what attributes we're going to display from day to day. But that vision, my friend, that vision needs to come from you. If you're the leader of your classroom, the leader of your home, the leader of your school, you need to have a clear vision. And then all of those other parts you're going to co-create. Once you have that vision, your staff are going to come up with, far more creative ways than what you will. They're going to be hungry for the data. They're going to want to know, how will I know I've achieved this? What do I need to do next? That vision is everything. And when we go back to the earlier episodes of how do I communicate my vision, once you know what that is, you're going to consider, how am I going to communicate this in a way that is direct for my direct friends, but inspiring for my energetic colleagues, and yet safe for my colleagues who value security, and detailed enough so that my people who like to know details and like accuracy and precision, they're also going to feel included as well, because they are going to be the people who bring your vision to life. So as you move forward for the rest of this month, anchor yourself in that vision. Do that work. If you haven't done it already, it's never too late. It is never too late. You still have 5 or 6 months this year. Create that vision. Go back to your staff. Share it with them. Share it with your parent council. Share it with your students. Let them know what it means to be in your school and what your hopes and dreams are for them. And then ask the people around you, how can we make this happen? And they're going to make it happen. They are going to make it happen. My friend, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that follow button. Give me a rating on whichever platform you're listening and share it with a colleague. Share it with your other people who you know in your life are also on a path to becoming a vibrant leader, who want to create spaces where students and parents and teachers want to be a part of. Because at the end of the day, you get to change lives. You get to change lives, and your teachers get to change lives. And there is no better profession on this planet than having the privilege and the honor of being a teacher, of being a school leader. You get to do this honorable work day in and day out. So we will see you again next week, where we are going to go through the I in vibrant. And if you are also wanting to stay in touch with me regularly, find me wherever I'm on social media. I'm on the LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you are social. Find me there, hit me a follow, and you can always be in touch with me at crystalcoachingconsulting@outlook.com. I would be happy to do a full leadership profile with you and give you a coaching call, or come in and work with your schools on your communication, leadership, building capacity, and teamwork. And until next time, go be vibrant. Make today amazing. Your work makes a difference in the world.